Hello, Galaxy. I'm Chris Pirillo, and we now have some iPhone 10 reviews to talk about. So let's talk about those iPhone 10 reviews, shall we? Or should I call them iPhone 10 reviews or iPhone 10 review, given that just about every one of them seems to be the same, done by a different individual, but still the same, and not really telling us anything new or different or unique, speaking to experience sometimes. But it seems, from my perspective, from where I sit physically here in this chair in cool white light now, which means I'm cooler today than I was yesterday. I'm a little more sick than I was yesterday, and I don't mean mentally. I'm talking about physical. I'm actually kind of catching cold, or something's coming on. I think that these iPhone 10 reviews are being done for people that were going to buy the iPhone 10 anyway. Because it seems that each one of these reviews that I have experienced, listened to, watched, read, is there specifically to elevate the feeling that your camp is the right camp to be in, the iPhone 10 camp. Effectively, confirmation bias is at play. And it's always at play, don't get me wrong. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're watching a review and you're in the position of wanting a certain device, and you want this device and this is what you're going to spend your money on. You've been waiting for it for all the right reasons, and you watch a review, and that review basically tells you everything that you wanted to hear. And when you're being told the things that you want to hear, it makes you feel okay. It makes you feel good about the decision that you made. You're in the right position. So yay, reviewer X said the things that I wanted them to say to effectively make me feel better about the decisions that I've made. And I'm paraphrasing the definition of confirmation bias. I had a feeling that iPhone 10 reviews would pretty much play out the way that they have. And I don't even know if I'd call them full-on reviews. And mind you, I'm not a reviewer. I do review things at times, but it's not what I do. As much as other people might do that, I know I could probably be more popular if I did a lot more reviews, but even when I do them now, I attenuate expectations, or I at least qualify the review by saying this is my initial impressions. This is me after having used the product for a week. Whatever. And very rarely have I done a full-on review. And even when I do, it's usually live, and then I interact with people to make sure I'm addressing the questions that you want me to answer, not answering the way that you want me to answer. Mind you, I do believe it's critical, especially when you're talking about things that you are surrounding yourself with. It's critical for you to challenge your convictions, not just accept what someone says simply because you agree with it. It's fine to agree with someone. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, when you are looking to just confirm all of your beliefs in what someone else is presenting to make you feel better about the decision you've made, you may not be doing yourself any favors. This time around, I will give Apple credit. They actually reached out to some non-traditional reviewers, YouTubers in some cases, people that might have a great degree of community attention. And they got super early access in relation to others to the iPhone 10. So they got a look-see. And I don't know what the guidelines were for these reviews, but I didn't see them as anything more than videos or pieces of content. But I don't know if I would call them reviews. But then again, I don't know if I'd call a lot of reviews. I look at things differently. I do things differently. I think in some cases these reviews are nothing more than the logical conclusion to access what happens with access journalism. And I'm not calling these reviewers journalists at all, because most of them are absolutely not. Just because you have a YouTube channel definitely does not make you a journalist, at least in my definition and in my experience, because these reviews are far from objective. I'm not slagging the person for having a subjective opinion, but the problem is when you present your your position and you regurgitate facts, well, then you are being truthful, right? But you're also not speaking to what someone should be hearing in relation to what that product is or what it could be, its benefits, its shortcomings, its strengths, its weaknesses. And when you don't put yourself in that mindset when you're presenting something, I don't think it's very I'm trying to think of the best word here. It's disingenuous, because you come off as an authority, as someone who has attained access to this thing of value, whatever it is. This may not just be about the iPhone 10, or at least this part of our discussion here at this moment. When you're seen in that position, that's a matter of importance. You're elevated to that position. Wow, they don't give out these review units to anybody. Therefore, this person really must know what they're doing. And they might. But if you don't hear criticism along with praise, I'm not sure that is what I would value as a review, or certainly not someone I would look up to and respect as a quote-unquote reviewer, even if they labeled themselves that. I think some people just found themselves in that position. I'm certainly not challenging the integrity of anybody in particular in relation to the iPhone 10 and earlier reviews, even though they all sound the same. And different people, I think, doing these reviews. I'm curious to know, have you found a single iPhone 10 review that sounds different, that looks different, that just is demonstrably different, that points out just as many critical issues as it might, the amazing awesometicity of the device in question? Yeah, I'm making up words. What are you going to do? If I keep saying those words over and over again, they will become truthy. I just don't know if I've seen any surprises. I wasn't expecting any surprises. I wasn't expecting anybody to effectively say that the Emperor had no clothes, especially if they had access to the iPhone 10 early on. Interestingly enough, one person did not have as early access to the iPhone 10 as others did. Someone who had seemingly always received these devices well ahead of time to give his perspective. John Gruber from daringfireball.net, a man absolutely worthy of everybody's respect. I may not always agree with him. On one thing, I absolutely agreed with him, and that was specifically when he said that the notch was hideous. The sensor housing, that the thing that very few reviewers want to talk about, especially if Apple gave him the phone. Like, don't talk about the notch. You got to embrace the notch. Don't talk about the wasted screen real estate, even though, it measures, what is it, 5.8 inches diagonally or whatever. I don't know. It's a spec. You can't use a lot of that space, but let's not talk about that. Let's just talk about specs, because that way we're being honest. We're telling the truth. These specs, these are the specs. There you go. We're not lying. I'm not biased. These are the specs. John apparently did not get access to the iPhone 10 as early as these others might have. I think he's only had access to it for maybe a day before he was able to turn something around in terms of a review, compared to a week and a review. Again, I always try to qualify when I do these things. I tried to say, look, I've only been using it for a day. These are more initial impressions than a review. These are, this is me after a week. These are more after a week rather than a full-on review, if I ever get around to doing a review at all. Because it takes, using the device and understanding the device and its place in the ecosystem. And unfortunately, when it comes to Apple products, its only place is compared to the previously released iPhone. It's very difficult to compare an iPhone apart from specs, which are largely irrelevant in terms of experience, to a device outside of its own ecosystem. I think this is where I feel the iPhone 8 Plus just didn't get a fair shake. And the iPhone 10 is absolutely a radical departure. It's Tim Cook's Apple, people. Ain't the Apple I used to like, that's for sure. So if you're wondering if I was ever going to get access to an early review unit, I'd be shocked. John came out and said, not long after the iPhone 10 was revealed, that the notch was basically hideous and that it was obviously an oversight. It was a mistake, and I'm paraphrasing John. But he was effectively calling him out. Makes you kind of wonder, to put my tinfoil hat on, did he, who has previously always gained early access like the other people in the media, did he get slighted? Did he get sidelined and only had the product to review for a day versus the others for a week? John kind of took some pot shots at some, and rightfully so, other people who had early access. I think access journalism is dangerous in all topics, for all topics, whether we're talking politics or that we're talking technology. In some cases, those two are like intertwined. Technology is politics, and don't believe anybody who doesn't say that or doesn't believe that or doesn't understand it. It's all political. It may not be tied to a political party, but trust me, it's political. You want access. You get to keep access, right? You want to keep having access to something so that you're seen as more important than others, or that you get something that not everybody else gets, because then you get more traffic and more attention and more value, right? But the people that you're serving, unfortunately, are not being served very well. They're just not. I don't think it's serving the people who really want to know if the iPhone 10 is right for them. These early on reviews, I just don't think are just my opinion. Man, it's my opinion, but you know what? I have seen more people echo this sentiment and effectively not nudge me to do this video, but basically saying that these reviews all seem the same. They're not calling out the things that they should be calling out as so-called reviewers. Okay. So, I thank you for tweeting me what you've tweeted, for saying what you've said. I still have not seen an iPhone 10 up close. I know what software looks like. I know what it runs like at a distance. I know iOS through and through. I don't think that it's in the cards for me in the immediate future. Some people have suggested I kick up another fund. Okay, fine. If you want me to do that, I'll do an iPhone 10 stream and you can make an iPhone 10 review happen from me. I'd be happy to do that. But outright, I'm not going to pursue it. I'm also not going to do what some people do, and I think is also a bit disingenuous, buying a device with the intent, the explicit intent on returning it. I don't think that's right. Like, if you're going to get the device, you believe you're getting that device, not to just immediately turn around as soon as as soon as you've finished with your review. I believe if you're going to buy a device, you should be buying that device, not with the intent on returning it. So I haven't any immediate plans. I'm not going to rush out and try an iPhone 10. Honestly, the reviews, just nothing's compelling me to take a closer look. Nothing at all. Should I? Why? For what? What reason? Because you want to know? That's great. But I'm still the one that's got to figure out how to get it done. So I'm trying my best to keep an open dialogue with this, make it a possibility for you to control my destiny, much like your tweets do or your comments do, especially when we do live videos. Your super chats certainly help. All the people who become patrons absolutely help. All the people who become subs on Twitch absolutely help. But the iPhone 10 seems to be reinforcing the people who believe in the iPhone 10, and the iPhone 10 reviews seem to be reinforcing the beliefs of people who want to get the iPhone 10. It's cyclical, and that to me seems to be the entire process for Apple and Apple products. And maybe there are other companies that work much the same way. I'm just talking about Apple right now, but like, seriously, what's the best iPhone 10 review you've seen or heard or listened to? Or I'm sorry, well, that's the same as heard. Read. Whatever medium you chose to digest that information through. What's the best one? I'm looking. I'm genuinely looking for something that would make me want to believe it's absolutely worthy of my time and attention. Because to this point, I haven't seen it. Because they all seem to be done for someone who ain't me. They all seem to be done for the people who wanted it anyway. That's the kind of different I'm looking for. Think different. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you again for all your support. I do appreciate it. I appreciate you. I love you. But at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices, even if they happen to be iPhone 10s. May the Force be with you.